Engage in area development. There are 7 steps to engage in area development. Reviewing the 7 steps, recall that steps 4 through 6 can be executed in any order. There are many methods of employing engage in area development, and they vary depending on the tactical situation. This video will apply a particular tactical situation and depict how engage in area development is employed. Scenario mission. 2nd Platoon, 4th Company, Unity Battalion, Federal Police conducts an area defense to secure polling site number 234, located at grid Mike Charlie 9302-3457 at 13-0700 May 2010 to enable democratic provincial elections to occur. Here, the Nomad MIT team, the MIT team that supports 2nd Platoon, 4th Company, Unity Battalion, is moving to polling site 234 to execute link-up with the platoon and begin the process of engagement area development. Upon completion of the link-up, the Unity Battalion platoon leader and the MIT team leader begin the first step of EA development, which is identify likely enemy avenues of approach. This will determine where the following steps of EA development will be focused upon. Here, the platoon leader and the MIT team leader execute their initial site reconnaissance of polling site 234 and determine the various avenues of approach. Determining enemy avenues of approach is far more complicated in the urban environment because there is 3 dimensions to consider instead of the 2-dimensional battlefield. Supersurface, intrasurface, subsurface avenues of approach have to be considered in addition to the primary roads and areas where individuals can walk up to the polling site. For the purpose of depiction in this video, the engagement area development will focus on the north-south road that leads directly to the polling site. Upon completion of identifying enemy avenues of approach, the next step is to determine the enemy scheme of maneuver. The platoon leader and the MIT team leader determine various ways and courses of action that the enemy will use to attack the polling site. In course of action 1, the enemy is known to employ VBIEDs. This will disrupt polling and create a successful catastrophic attack. Course of action 2, based on previous enemy TTPs, would be to execute a mortar attack upon the polling site to disrupt voting. Mortar attacks have frequently occurred within the village over the past 6 months and have been a preferred enemy TTP. The third course of action, and most dangerous course of action, would be the employment of an S-Vest. Here an individual runs up to the line at the polling site and detonates his S-Vest. The next step is to determine where to kill the enemy. Based on the enemy's scheme of maneuver and identifying likely enemy avenues of approach, the platoon leader and the MIT team leader determine where to begin construction of their engagement area. They emplace TRPs to cover that engagement area, and a maximum engagement line and a final protective line. This outlines the primary engagement area that they establish, based on the avenue of approach and the enemy scheme of maneuver. Here, they've named it Engagement Area Mosin. The next step is to plan and integrate obstacles, remembering that there are tactical and protective obstacles. Here, moving through the engagement area from north to south, we see that concertina wire has been in place across the road, achieving the obstacle effect of disruption as a tactical obstacle. It'll prevent a vehicle from quickly approaching the site and allow the weapon systems to engage it when it's in the engagement area. In placing weapon systems is the next step. Weapon systems have to be placed in areas where they can cover the engagement area, primary TRPs, and can mutually support each other. Here, the Federal Police Platoon have employed 2 PKM machine guns to cover the engagement area. If one of the PKM positions is destroyed or suppressed, then the other PKM position can still engage within the engagement area and their assigned sector. We see that the second sign is the maximum engagement line. Plan and integrate indirect fires is the next step. The Unity Battalion platoon leader recognizes that mortar attacks have been used frequently in the past and receives a template from his MIT team counterpart. These red spots depict where previous mortar attacks have occurred against the village. Based on grouping of previous points of origin, he determines 3 NAIs that he coordinates with the MIT team leader for UAV coverage on each of the NAIs. Here at NAI 1, an enemy mortar crew is beginning to set up at a previous point of origin to begin firing upon the polling site. Upon positive identification, close air support is coordinated to engage the mortar site. Final step is conduct an EA rehearsal. A critical step since it ensures that all the processes and weapon systems and warfighter functions within the execution of the EA are synchronized. The platoon leader updates his sector sketch, and then finally drives the engagement area himself within his vehicle. Here he confirms that the obstacles will meet the obstacle group intent, that the weapon systems can clearly see him within the engagement area, and that they can cover their sectors of fire. He further refines and updates his sector sketch, and then completes the rehearsal with search procedures at the final protective obstacle before the polling site. Proper EA development completes the mission, protects the force, and safeguards civilians.